Okay, welcome back to day 2 of our decluttering challenge. If you're not yet convinced that there are benefits to you actually decluttering, then I'm going to share with you. I would love to know in the replay, or like when you're emailing me back or in the comments. I would love to know what your thoughts have been so far about just the feeling that you feel from having decluttered your closet. If you did that yesterday, just even taking the baby steps, the mental energy to just sit back and look at your closet and say, okay, what do I want to tackle here? And why is this going to be so important to me? And then you started doing it without the drama, without all of those thoughts. You just started following the steps, right? And you found yourself like, oh, wow, like this is awesome. And just looking back at your work and you find the satisfaction, like, oh, this feels so good. I've been wanting to do this for so long. Right? Okay, I'd love to know that, because the benefits today of decluttering your kitchen, this is something that I did 8 years ago when I was first inspired about decluttering. And honestly, I became a little bit of a minimalist at that point because it felt just so good. And I realized then that I wanted to implement certain things then, after having gone through so much of the decluttering process, that I realized moving forward, I want to do things that will maintain my home decluttered free, throughout the year, that will help me in the long run not to have my house, like not to have to be in that same place again, not to be in that same space again. Well, the kitchen is one of those things that no matter you start, okay, you're going to start decluttering, right? And I have things that are like here that need to be decluttered over time, right? And so this is that time, even if your home is completely clutter free, and honestly, you probably don't have anything to declutter, this is the perfect time to kind of start looking at the spaces where you're like, okay, what do I need to go through and, realize like this needs to be thrown away. It's time for this to be thrown away, okay? So step 1 is pick an area of your kitchen that you want to focus on, and you want to take everything out of the cabinets. Again, that can feel so overwhelming. So I would just pick a section, okay? So once you take everything out, you're able to then see and put them into piles. What's trash, what needs to be tossed. In this case, can anything be, donated or given away? If you're working on, certain like utensils and stuff like that. Like, I know that this has stopped working and it's back in here until we replace it because we've ordered another one. But then I'm going to take this and I'm going to trash it, right? Not really, but it stopped working. So I can't really, I'm going to put it in the right place. I'm going to find out where this needs to go. Can I recycle it? Can I do anything, with the parts? So for now it's there. But this is the section that I might want to work on, and I'm going to take everything out, and in this way you can put it into 3 piles: keep, donate, sell, or toss. All right, so let me give you another example real quick. Here's another section. Okay, so these are containers, mixing bowls and, plastic and things like that. Here's the lids. If it doesn't have any lids, this is the time to kind of mix and match. If it doesn't have the lids, it's time to recycle it, right? It's time to let it go. Here's another section. Okay, these are racks of like pots and pans. If these don't belong to anything, it's time to put them away. And do I use any of this stuff? It's time to kind of take a look, a good look, sincere look. Here's another section just to inspire you. Obviously, I've just recently gone through all of my lids and made sure that they, go with all of my mugs, right? And if not, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to declutter and get rid of the mugs that I honestly are not excited about, or, you know, big mugs, coffee mugs, and then replace them with something that you know you're going to use, not miss. Here's another thing that I want you to look at. Spice rack is another one. Figure out, I'm going to give you some ideas on how to do spice racks, but if you have a container and organizer like this that you can do, then definitely utilize it. If not, I'm going to give you some ideas on how, you know, what you can do for that. So, all right, so you can stop the video and go do step 1. Step 2 is going to be assessing each item as you go. Pretty simple. As you go through each item, ask yourself these questions so that it helps you to decide whether, let me turn the light back on so you can see them a little better, whether you need to get rid of it or not. For example, when was the last time that you use it, right? Does it have sentimental value? Like, was it given to you, passed down to you? Is it a family thing? Does it serve a purpose in your kitchen? And if the answer of these questions is no, then it's time to let it go. So those questions again are, when was the last time you used it? Does it have sentimental value? And does it have a purpose in your kitchen? All right, so those are the questions. If you need to see it again, it's in your guide. All right, step 3, you want to organize the keep file. And I would suggest even going on Pinterest and getting some ideas. Don't spend too much time on it, because the idea is to set a timer for 15 minutes, get it done, right? And then anything that you're keeping, meddle on it a little bit. Decide, okay, how am I going to organize it back? Dishes, utensils, appliances, how I'm going to organize things so that the whole goal is you want to make your meal prep and your cooking more enjoyable. And it's going to be more enjoyable and efficient if you actually utilize your space properly. So for example, I've purposely put my spice racks on this side right beside my stove, right? So that's going to take less time when I'm cooking. Does that make sense? I purposefully put my mugs and, you know, my lids right where my coffee pot is, right? So that's gonna take me less time to make coffee or think about it in the morning. So things like that make more sense. Putting the dishes where, you know, like the kids can reach here, so then they can help set the table. I don't wanna put it up high because then the kids can't help, right? So serving the table, I'm making this a more enjoyable space for all of us as well when we're in the kitchen, all of us together. All right, and then number 4, you want to find a home for everything. Make sure that everything in your kitchen has a designated home. Okay, so this might mean, do you need some drawer dividers, some shelf organizers, bins to just create a place for everything. And number 5, I want to give you some Norwex tools to help keep your kitchen clean now that your kitchen is decluttered. So my number 1 thing is having the EnviroCloth, which I have right here. Okay, so just keeping one of these handy so that, again, you can just use with water and mechanically clean up the bacteria as you go along, maybe as you're cooking. And that way you're keeping the mess down, you're cleaning as you go, as you're cooking, so you have less overwhelm, less to clean up after you're cooking. So that's probably my number 1 thing. The other thing is getting rid of paper towel waste. So finding replacements like the countercloths, they kind of look like this. Here it is. Mine are all getting washed at the moment, okay? But you can actually, it's the same size of a paper towel, so you can use these as napkins, and then they're reusable. And then you can launder them if you want. That way it is reusable. Launder them in the washing machine once a week, okay? But what this does is every kid would have one. They're different colors, you can designate them. Then they rinse it off and hang it up to dry. They can reuse it. So now your trash becomes less, right? You have less waste. Having a place where you can recycle as well, you know, that creates less waste, but that will easily save you, you know, $100 to $200 worth of money that you can spend elsewhere. So that would probably be my number one tips to have in the kitchen. There's also stainless steel that you can wipe as you go along, and just have little things in place so that, one, when you're cooking, you can minimize the mess, and two, at the end of cooking, you can designate somebody to just run through and wipe off stainless steel, refrigerator handles, microwaves, and, you know, things like that, that you can minimize the stress that way, because now you're not coming into your kitchen, you're like, oh, it's such a mess, right? That's the worst thing. So, okay, that is it for day 2. I'll see you tomorrow for day 3.